In the red earth village of Ogede lived a young seamstress named Deborah. She woke before dawn each day, drew water from the well, then sat at a small loom by the fire. With her nimble fingers, she wove cloth for every family in the village, wrappers for mothers, tunics for fathers, cloth for babies. Everyone loved her work, and Deborah dreamed of more. She dreamed of planning big celebrations, of making every family's special day perfect. One moonlight night, her friend Chima asked her to plan his wedding. "Deborah," he said, "you know every color, every flower. Will you help me make my bride's day bright?" Deborah's heart leapt. She said yes without a second thought. For weeks, she met Chima's family under the old baobab tree. She picked fresh palm leaves for decorations, wove baskets of red and white flowers, and taught the women how to fold cloth into shining fans. On the day of the wedding, the whole village gasped at her work. The bride's veil was pure white lace, edged with gold thread. The groom's sash was bright red, soft as sunrise. Laughter and drums filled the air. Chima held Deborah's hand and said, "You are a true artist." But when the party ended, strange rumors began. Someone said Deborah had taken more than her share of the village's pepper. Someone else whispered she had gone into the groom's hut at midnight. By morning, Chima's family refused to pay her. They called her a thief. They tore her fine cloth into rags and drove her from the compound. Deborah stood at the edge of the road as the village dogs barked. Tears fell onto her torn dress. She grasped a handful of red dust and flung it into the air. "Why did you lie?" she cried. But no one spoke. She walked away with empty hands and a broken heart. For 2 seasons, Deborah lived alone by the river in a hut of mud and grass. She drank icy water and ate wild yams. Day after day, she stared at the fire and remembered the laughter of that wedding. Her anger grew like a dark vine. She would not be forgotten. She would make them remember her power. One morning, a wandering elder named Mama Ife found Deborah by the river. She wore beads of wood and carried a gourd of healing herbs. "Child," she said, "your eyes burn with hurt." Deborah did not answer. Mama Ife sat on a stump and told her stories of the old days, when justice came from prayer and truth. She mixed bitter root with sweet honey and gave it to Deborah. "Drink this," she said. "Let your pain become your power, but do not let it destroy you." Deborah drank. The liquid was cold and sharp. She felt something shift inside her chest. From that day, she rose before the sun and returned to the village, but in a new form. No one knew her at first. She wore a dark veil over her head and a mask of woven fibers over her face. She called herself Tola, which means revenge in the old tongue. She opened a small workshop under the palm trees and hung a simple sign: Tola's Celebrations. No one saw her eyes, no one heard her voice. She spoke only through notes held by a silent helper. Words spread fast. "Tola," they whispered. "She plans the best weddings." Brides came from far and near. They signed a simple contract. No one read the tiny letters at the bottom. Tola chose the colors, the music, the plates and cups. Each wedding was perfect, more perfect than any before. Families cheered. They paid her handsomely and invited her to their feasts, but she never ate, never sat by the fire, never showed her face. 10 years passed like a dream. One by one, those couples began to face sorrow on the very day of their 10th anniversary. Some lost their homes in fire, some sank in canoes on the river, some fell ill in their sleep. No one could explain why. They spoke of Tola's gifts, the ivory comb, the silver chalice, the silk veil, and wondered if those things had power They did not know. At last, a young bride named Amina spoke out. "My mother warned me," she said. "No one plans a wedding they cannot see. Read every word before you sign." But Amina had signed without care. Now, her corner of the roof was black with smoke, and her roses lay crushed in mud. She knew it was time to learn the truth. Amina's mother, Ijeoma, dressed in simple cloth and tied her hair with a ribbon of palm leaf. She took Amina by the hand and led her to the one place they feared, the hut by the river where Deborah had hidden. They walked through fields of millet and past clay pots drying in the sun until they stood before the small mud house. No smoke rose from its chimney. The door was closed. "Mother," Amina whispered, "what if Tola is inside?" Ijeoma lifted her voice and called, "Tola, we need to speak." The door creaked open. A figure in dark robes and a fibrous mask stood in the doorway. Amina's heart pounded, but she did not turn away. "I am Ijeoma," the woman said, "and this is my daughter Amina. Your work has brought sorrow to our homes. We want to know why." For a long moment, the veiled figure said nothing. Then she lifted her arms and let the mask fall. Amina gasped. Beneath the dark cloak was Deborah's torn dress, faded and dark. Her face was marked by old scars, her eyes deep with pain. "I am Deborah," she said in a clear, low voice. "I was a seamstress. I was made a thief. I lost my home, my name, my joy. I drank bitter root. I became the shadow of vengeance. I gave 10 years of joy, then took 10 years of grief. I wanted them to feel my pine." Amina's mother shook her head. "You made a wrong turn, child. You hurt many who did not harm you." Deborah bowed her head. "I know," she said, "and I cannot undo what is done, but I can end this curse." She lifted a small black pouch from her pocket and spilled white dust onto the earth. "This dust holds the promise I made under the baobab tree," she said. "For each flower I wove, for each dance I set, I give back life to those I stole it from." A slow wind rose in the clearing, blowing millet stalks like gentle waves. Birds sang in the palms. Amina and Ijeoma watched as small lights flickered in the pouch and drifted toward the village, toward every home broken by Tola's gifts. When the lights touched each door, the fires that burned roofs turned to smoke, then vanished. The river rose gently and carried back lost boats. The sick awoke with smiles. That night, families lay together in peace. The next morning, Deborah still stood by the river. She wore no veil. Her face was open and honest. Amina and Ijeoma approached her. "Thank you," they said softly. "You have made us whole again." Deborah put her hands together. "I ask only this. Let no one live by hiding their face or their heart. Let every promise be spoken in daylight." And so the village of Ogede learned to read every word before they signed. They learned to value the one who stood before them, not the mask. And Deborah lived among them again, no longer a shadow, but a woman freed from vengeance at last.